Hello, this is Sarita, and I'm here to help you understand the truth about who you are. So today I wanted to share with you a very profound meditation that I actually did with my Patreon group a couple of weeks ago. And it was so kind of off the scale enlightening that I decided to share it on the YouTube channel as well. And the meditation is going to be how to heal a fractal pattern of lack, which will actually take you into unlimited abundance. And it's wise to remember that as infinite beings, we have the capacity to receive. That's our natural state of being. But what happens is that we often get caught up in our programming, and this creates limitations within our being that we then believe is who we are. And so we move forward in our lives without realizing that we have access to unlimited abundance all of the time in all ways. You know, that means unlimited receivership of love, of money, of opportunities, of purpose, of creativity, of inspiration, whatever you want. It's just limitless. And in fact, if you walked around in your daily life and you looked at the world around you with truly open eyes, you would see that this infinite abundance is everywhere. I mean, how often do you go outside and look at your lawn and say, wow, I've been blessed with infinite blades of grass. Just look at that. And then, wow, infinite sky and light, and human beings are just everywhere. We don't see the world like this because we tend to be so fractured in our internal awareness through the limitations of our programming that we see the world in terms of what we don't have. And it's really interesting, you know, I've often noticed in our lives that 10 people can give someone a compliment and one person can say something slightly critical in a day. And that person will forget the 10 compliments that they've received and mull over and go over and over and over the one criticism that they've got until it's blown up into this limitation of what they're not. It seems to be a very prolific program that we've been instilled with and adopted as we have kind of grown and come into our adult selves. So often in my work, I'm helping people to deprogram from their limitations all of the time. And often when we begin this spiritual seeking work, we can get into deep states of gratitude using our conscious brain and our conscious awareness. But our unconscious mind is a bigger brain. It's a huger supercomputer. And in fact, the unconscious brain is the one that's kind of creating our reality, or that's more prolifically creating our reality. Because for many of us, we haven't really understood that we are creating our realities in every now, next moment. And so we tend to run on the habituated programs within the unconscious supercomputer. And so even if you're in a deep state of gratitude, you may still have some limitations of things like lack that are running the show of your life, that are running your reality in an unconscious manner. And this is because they're set up as programs and patterns from very early childhood. So, that all being said, what I wanted to share with you today is this amazing meditation that I created to delete a fractal pattern. And I first heard about fractal patterns through Greg Braden, actually. And he had discovered that patterns go in spirals. And in fact, our conscious evolution is also moving in a spiral formation. And we know that everything in our lives is run on patterning. So we've got night follows day, in breath follows out breath, eyes closed, eyes open. And we also see things, and obviously with time, we've created patterns. We've got our clock, our 12 hours, our 24 hours, our months, our seasons, our years. And in our lives, we create, because we are the creators of our realities, fractal patterns. And these can really show up for us in things like lack or in relationships. You see people, for example, I'll use a really extreme case, but you see people who are in let's say an abusive relationship, and they go around in the pattern for a few cycles in this abusive relationship, and they see the abuse going round and round. And one day they decide to step out of the abuse, but they immediately call forth another relationship that sets them in a similar pattern, okay? Or I'll tell you a pattern that I had. Is I discovered a pattern in my life when I was 28. Myself and my husband lost everything we owned, and we left the country we were in. That was Kenya, and everything just imploded on us. And we lost everything we owned, and we literally had £400, and we had to start all over again. So we left the country, bought car insurance, really cheap car insurance. Then we had to start all over again. And exactly 10 years later, I realized that I was about to lose a lot of things in my life. I won't go into the details, but all over again. And it was at that point, because I'd done enough of my work, that I looked back and I realized this had happened to me 10 years before. And so I tracked my life to 10 years before that and 10 years before that. And I found these extraordinary synchronicities of massive loss. They weren't necessarily loss of, let's say, money, but they were just loss in a big way. And so I suddenly realized that there was this fractal pattern coming round. And I had reached, if you like, the 0 point incarnation of that pattern. So somewhere back when I was around 10, or it was a little bit younger than that, it was roughly 10 years. I couldn't exactly trace it, but I had experienced this loss. And that was the incarnation of this fractal pattern. Now, what Greg Braden realized, and what I subsequently realized when I started to work with this meditation that I created on the back of his findings, was if you can catch a fractal pattern as it arrives at its 0 point, you can completely delete the pattern and step into a higher spiral of conscious awareness. But if you try and delete a fractal pattern as it's going round, it just won't have as much efficacy for you, because the whole reason that we work with these fractal patterns, and remember, everything in this realm and everything about our soul's incarnation is teaching us so that we can elevate our consciousness. So So if you try and remove a fractal pattern on its way round to the 0 point, all that's actually happening is, as it goes round in its spiral, you're being offered the learning opportunity to see the fractal pattern from many different perspectives. That's what we're doing in this realm. We're experiencing reality from many different perspectives so that we can know ourselves more fully and eventually become self-actualized or self-realized as creator consciousness. So fractal pattern, no matter what it may be, whether it's experiencing night and day or an abusive relationship as it goes round, or any type of relationship, or myself with my loss every 10 years, or whatever patterning you may be in, perhaps you always have an argument with your loved one at certain times in the year, or perhaps you get a cold twice a year, or perhaps there are just so many patterns that come. Everything's made of patterns. So if you can start to see these patterns, and the aim is to observe them in their perspectives, because remember, this is a realm not only of learning but of contrast. That's why we have polarity, because we can see something from its absolute darkest shade to its absolute lightest, and all of them in between. And so we're offered all of these perspectives. And what perspectives do, when you eventually see something from all of its different perspectives, is you come into a very deep state of frequencies such as gratitude, compassion, unconditional love, and wisdom. And those kind of states of being allow you to transcend a pattern that may be very base and move in to a higher octave, or just a higher level of consciousness, so that the next pattern that comes round is teaching you even more for your evolutionary state. So if you can meet a fractal pattern as it arrives at its 0 point, you've got the opportunity to move through the 0 point portal or stargate of that awareness. Remember, 0 point is an absolutely balanced state of being. It's total neutrality, which gives you unlimited access from infinite potentials to move through the portal and create a new pattern, which is more aligned to your higher state of being that has now been entrained by many perspectives, or a full spectrum of perspectives of things like wisdom, compassion, gratitude, and unconditional love. So what this meditation does is it's going to allow you to perceive the fractal pattern of lack that you've been holding, no matter where you are on the spiral. See all of the perspectives of the entire pattern and zoom through the portal and into a higher fractal pattern, more aligned with the wisdom and the love and everything that you've created in that moment in the meditation. And honestly, I've been working with Patreon a lot, and I've never had so many people just kind of comment on the profound results and feelings and just awarenesses and insights they had from doing this meditation, which literally takes 20 minutes. I mean, this is the kind of mad thing about it all, is that the energies are speeding up so much on this planet right now that we have an enormous capacity for change. And really the way to affect change is to understand that it's there and then do something that affects the change. And that's why I love meditating, because it's a very practical way of implementing an understanding of why we're here. So that all being said, I'm now going to explain to you the meditation, and hopefully you'll understand why and how it works, and then we're going to go ahead and do the meditation. So what's going to happen is I'm going to relax your body and get you into a state where your brain waves have slowed down and you're kind of just released from all of the kerfuffle that is going on out there or in your mind or in your body. All the stress, relax you. Then I'm going to get you to feel into your heart center, the energy center in the middle of your chest, your sacred heart center. And for the purposes of this meditation, it's actually quite helpful to imagine that center as a sphere or a space in your chest. Okay, so I'm going to get you to tap into that awareness. You'll understand why in a moment. And then we're going to empty out all of the thoughts in the mind and the brain so that that area of your head is empty, if you like. It's space. And in that space, I am then going to ask you to perceive a fractal pattern of lack that you have been experiencing or that you are currently in or dealing with. Now, as this fractal pattern appears in your mind, you may see it either as a piece of geometric patterning, so it may look like geometry, or you're going to see it as imagery or words or like a film script playing out in your life, okay? Most people see it as a kind of film script of what's been going on in terms of lack. So maybe you're lacking in a loving relationship, you're lacking in a job that you really want to do, you've got lack in friendships or lack in money, whatever it is, you're going to see this thing either as geometry or as a film script. Now, if you see it as geometry, the chances are you're going to see this geometric pattern as slightly unaligned or unsymmetrical or malformed, okay? Remembering that symmetry is beautiful symmetry is much higher frequency led geometry. So, for example, in the Dr. Emoto water experiments, or if you've been following the work of Vida Austin with her water, you'll see that water, when it's beamed with things like words like abundance or beauty or love, has a much more aligned symmetry. It's more symmetrical, the patterning. And when you beam things at water or you pollute water and it's frozen, it looks misaligned and kind of distorted and malformed. So if you do see it as geometry, you're going to see it as malformed, just as if you see it as a film script and you haven't got an abundance of a good job or a job that you love. It's malformed. You're not enjoying it. It doesn't feel good. You don't like going to work. You don't get paid properly, blah, 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 all the stuff. So you're going to start seeing this pattern, and I'm going to invite you to see all of the details of the pattern. And then, really importantly, to see the pattern from all of the perspectives that it's offering you. And this is the point in the meditation where I and the people I was meditating with on Patreon, we started to just I got so many incredible insights that rose from my unconscious being to show me this pattern in a myriad of forms and why I'd been holding on to my pattern of lack, okay? And so did everybody else in the group. So we were suddenly seeing the pattern from all of its perspectives and how it had affected our lives, our relationships, our relationship to ourselves, how we created our life, just everything. It really just wow insights, okay? So now you can see the fractal pattern in its full, if you like, completeness of all of its perspectives. Now it's impacted your life. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you, using your willpower and your imagination, to drop that pattern from the space in your head down the body and drop it into the heart space, the heart center. And remember that your heart energy center has its own divine intelligence. The heart center is a direct portal to source consciousness, to creator consciousness. It's the same portal as the heart of the cosmos. So you put anything in your heart center, it's going to start healing anyway. So we've dropped the pattern into the heart center. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to do 3 different breaths. So the first breath we're going to do is the breath of presence. And what you're going to do is essentially you're going to breathe into the heart center. And with every breath, you're going to be as present as you can. And you're going to imagine the breath coming into the heart center and touching and filling the heart center with the breath of presence. So we're using the frequency of presence, if you like, with the breath. And remember that the breath is a bridge to the divine. That's what breath is. It's life force. Okay, it's your bridge to source consciousness. So you're going to breathe in the breath of presence into the heart center, fill the heart center with the breath of presence, and that breath is going to touch intimately everything in that pattern. And we're going to do that for 3 minutes. Okay, and as you begin to do that, you're going to start noticing that the breath of presence begins to change the fractal pattern. So if it's misaligned and distorted, it's going to start changing it into something much more symmetrical and much more beautiful. And after 3 minutes, we're then going to breathe with the breath of, I can't remember which order I did this. I think it was wisdom next. But it might be different in the actual meditation. I can't remember because I did it a couple of weeks ago. But you're going to breathe in for 3 minutes with the breath of wisdom. So essentially you're filling your heart center with the frequency of wisdom. And again, 3 minutes, the wisdom comes in, it fills the heart center with the breath, touching the pattern and changing the pattern. And then we're going to breathe with the frequency of gratitude, breathing in gratitude, filling the heart center with gratitude and changing the pattern. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to feel how the pattern has changed. Maybe it's completely changed by now. Maybe it's in process. And we're going to leave that pattern in the heart center to cook or to finish its process, because the heart has its own intelligence. And then we're going to come back into the room and open our eyes. So that's the meditation, and it's going to knock your socks off. It was really, 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 really fun and really good. And yeah, I think it's just really going to change things for all of you. So I hope you really, really enjoy it. Please do leave your comments below. Please do like and share the meditation and my explanation if you think it's been helpful, because that helps with my algorithmic expansion on YouTube. And other than that, I'm going to ask you to sit up straight if possible while you're doing the meditation. Obviously, if you're constrained by injury, do lie down. And otherwise, you're going to take a breath in, a breath out, and close your eyes. And in the darkness, just beginning to allow your attention to arrive with the breath. beginning to hone in your focus upon the breath. And without forcing it, allow your breath to begin to slow down, to elongate. And feel how the breath fills your body on the in-breath and finds its inevitable way back to the all that is on the out-breath. The within and the without. Feel yourselves relaxing more and more. And feel your brain waves slowing down. Deepening, deepening into yourself. And you are now going to set your intention to change a fractal pattern of lack into a fractal pattern of abundance. And for a moment now, just allow yourself to feel your heart center. Connect into this center and feel the space of it. A heart center that is always ready to assist you. A heart center that is a doorway to source consciousness, to truth, and to love. And elevate your awareness now to the space of your mind within your head, within your brain. And allow this space to empty itself, to become a blank canvas. And on this blank canvas, within this space, you are now going to begin to perceive the fractal pattern of lack that you have been holding onto. Perhaps it is imagery or a scene or a series of scenes or an actual piece of geometry. And as you gaze at this fractal pattern, the invitation is for you to begin to see it and feel it with all of your senses from every perspective that it offers you in all of its details. Allow yourself to see the details of the colors and shapes that are here, the words and images, the people and the places. Without constraint or limitation, you are going to see this pattern more and more clearly with every detail from every possible perspective, so that you know this pattern in its entirety. And feel it within your mind space. How has this pattern impacted your life, your relationships, your purpose, your soul, your energy, your thoughts, your emotions, your body? Now that you have seen the entirety, the fullness of this pattern from every perspective, with every detail, you are going to begin to draw down the pattern, down the body, down and down, and land it within the middle of your heart center. And as it lands here, can you feel it even more? And see that the heart center has entirely encapsulated this fractal pattern, is holding it in this most sacred of spaces, so that we can now begin to affect change within it with our intention, our willpower, our imagination, and our breath. And you are now going to begin to breathe into the pattern with the breath of presence, filling the heart center, touching the pattern in all of its details with intimacy, with the breath of presence. And as you breathe, feel how the breath of presence is changing the pattern, remaking it into a higher symmetry of abundance. Presence filling and changing this pattern, touching it in all of its details, its secret places, its deepest places. And now we begin to breathe with the breath and the frequency of wisdom, filling our heart centers with this frequency and allowing wisdom to touch all of the details of this pattern, changing it. And the pattern is becoming more and more beautiful, with more and more symmetry and more abundance. And now you are breathing with the breath and the frequency of gratitude. Breathing in this frequency, filling the heart center, surrounding the pattern with this breath that touches it, caresses it, changes it into a higher symmetry. And pausing and feel and see how the pattern has changed now. Held in your sacred heart center, and held within your intentionality, within your body, within your beingness. and knowing that the process will continue within this sacred space within you. You can surrender it to the divine. And then when you're ready, finding your way back into the room and opening your eyes.